Evening, YouTube. Holy Sasquatch here. Still Saturday night down in Gifford National Forest. Trying something different on the phone here. It's got this little black and white effect. I thought I'd give that a shot for the campfire for the campfire ramble. As you can tell, it's pretty dark out. Sun goes down early in the mountains, especially in the wintertime. So for this installment of the Fireside Ramble, I thought I'd share the first time my wife had an experience with Sasquatch. The time when she knew. And that's a time, I don't recall when it was. It was a couple years after I had been on the when I first got going. I suppose I was pretty fired up. I guess I still am. But anyways, I think I'd been interested in Sasquatch for a year or two by this point. And it was summertime, and we had gone as a family to camp down on the Nisqually River there at a local campground. And I'm not sure what time it was. It was dark, and it was probably like 10:30 at night or so, and we're sitting around the campfire, just sitting there shooting the breeze or whatever. And I was facing the river. The campfire was in front of me. My wife was just to my right, and then the kids followed around to her right, going counterclockwise. So I was like at 6 o'clock facing the rivers at my 12. Regardless, we're sitting there, and I kept feeling like something was watching me. And I kept saying, I'm going to go get my flashlight. Then we'd go back to shooting the breeze, and I'd be like, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to go get my flashlight in a minute. And I was saying this out loud. And I don't know, I guess it had been about a half hour or so of this. I'm like, that's it, damn it, I'm going to get my flashlight. And I hopped up out of my chair, I walked back to my Bronco, grabbed my flashlight, and made a beeline for the river. As soon as I got down to the edge of the river, I cut my light on and shined it straight across the river, and I was like, I knew it, god damn it. And I'm like, Misha, you gotta get down here. And she was right there. I didn't know she was following me. She had been listening to me, and she knew I had it when I got up to get my flashlight. She knew something was going on, but I'm telling you what, I walked straight down to the river, turned my light on, shined it across the river, and was staring at the most giant green reflective eyes I've ever seen, dude. These things from across the river were as big as two freaking skull cans, and they were far apart, dude. They were like offset, not offset cockeyed, but you know, apart from each other. They were wide apart, and they were huge, dude. I'm telling you what, and this is across the river. I didn't know my wife had followed me down, and I was like, holy shit, do you see that? And she's like, yeah. And we just sat there looking at it for a minute. But like right after the light hit it, and I'm acknowledging that she's there, the thing turned sideways, and you could tell even in the dark that its whole torso turned when it turned its head. It turned sideways to its left, our right, and it ducked down behind this roll, behind this little knob that it was standing behind. And I'm like, do you see that? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm like, I don't know, but welcome to my world, because that's Sasquatch. And it was hilarious. But this went on for a bit, because then it popped back up, and we literally sat there and watched them for like 15 or 20 minutes. And we kept shining the light, and there was more than just the one. The one was right there across the river, and it was huge. Excuse me. My wife asked me how big it was. Or not how big it was, but how far away it was. And it was obviously dark, but I said, I don't know, it's about 75 yards to where it's at from here. And so we continued to watch them, and there was 3 of them over there. We could see one peeking out behind a tree, and then there was actually 2 behind that little knob there, where the one had peeked over and it was just crazy, dude. I'm telling you, it was so weird to watch them. For some reason, I felt safe because they were across the river, and I guess because I was so close to home. But in retrospect, I suppose if they wanted, they would have just swam across the river. But they were just watching us for the longest time, sitting there at the campfire. They just watched us, dude, and I knew something was watching us, and I got tired of it. So I was like, I'm gonna see what it was. So I grabbed my light and walked down there, and I put my flashlight on at first shot, 75 yards across the river. In the morning when we got up, I went and got my rangefinder. I had it in the truck, and it was 73 yards. So that was pretty good for trying to estimate in the dark. But yeah, it was the craziest thing. I knew something was staring at us, and she was right there when I grabbed the flashlight and followed me down there, and she seen him too, and she was like, not in shock, but bewildered. What do you think when you see a Sasquatch? I mean, it's just another one of those moments where your bubble gets rubbed and reality shifts a little bit, but it's all good. So that was her introduction to Sasquatch, short of all my ramblings and showing her pictures of stuff when I came home. This is all really before the sticks in the woods. It was all still new to me, really. I mean, I was still mostly looking for tracks. But anyways, yeah, we were just sitting down at the Nisqually River, and they were watching us from across the way. So you never know. They can be anywhere. And it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of crazy. So there's another experience, and that was the first one that my wife and I shared together. Now I've shared that with you. So until my next little fireside ramble, I hope you guys are having a good evening. It's starting to cool off here for sure. I don't know if it'll snow tonight or not, but it's definitely a little bit chilly at night. So I'm going to sit here and warm my bones by the fire, and until my next video, Ole Sasquatch out.